Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rockman Mosby, and on this episode what you're going to learn is how to succeed by putting yourself in the right environment, no matter what your circumstances is. How to succeed by creating the environment that's going to be conducive to you achieving your goals and dreams. Environment is important, and that's the same thing that I did to go from a life of frustration and living in unfavorable conditions to a life of freedom. Having the type of time that I wanted to spend with my family and so forth, having great relationships, being able to travel around the world, and most importantly, having that freedom. A life of freedom is just great. And you can achieve that if you create an environment to achieve that's going to be conducive to you achieving and hitting your goals. So the first thing that we must understand is three things that we must understand before we can really create the environment. And the first thing that we must understand is that we have to have goals, a definite goal. If you don't have a goal, then what's the point of having an environment? If you don't have a goal, nothing matters. You're just going anywhere. You got to have a goal. You have to have some place to shoot for. You got to know where you are. You got to know where you're going, and then you got to move in that direction. But if you don't have a goal, then there's no direction to move into. So we first got to understand that we must have a goal. The second thing that we must understand is we must pay the price. There's a Newton's law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What this simply means is we must pay the price. Don't ever fool yourself into thinking that you can get around that law. The prisons and the streets where the lonely walk is filled with people who thought that they can achieve something without actually paying the price. And then the third thing that we must understand is we have to actually understand environment and how it affects us. Is it affecting us negatively or positively? And then once we understand that, we can make the adjustments that we need to create the environment that's going to propel us to our goals and dreams. It's guaranteed that you can hit this stuff. You can hit your goals and dreams if you create the right environment. Environment is key. Just think, throughout our entire day, we have a stream of negativity that's flowing into our brains. Anything that we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, most of it is negative. And if we have some big, extraordinary dreams that we want to accomplish, how are we going to accomplish that when we're mostly filtering negativity in our minds? So we have to first look at that and shape our environment and see how our environment is shaping our minds. Now, a lot of people say, well, their minds are stronger than the environment. And that's a good belief to have, but the environment is not, your mind is not as stronger than the environment. And I can prove it to you. But before I prove it to you, just think about all of the shows that we're watching. This is murder, death, kill. Murder, death, kill all day. You know, and then maybe you got some love stories and some stories here and there, but it's all some tragic events. And if you just inundated with all of that stuff, then how could you achieve anything that's great? It's going to be hard for you to achieve greatness when you got so much negativity coming in your mind. And like I said, I can prove how environment shapes us because it's very simple. You can go to the southern part of the United States and listen to the accents, or go to the northern part of the United States and then listen to the way they talk, or the Midwest. We can identify where people come from a lot of times without them sharing with us where they're from, because we can hear their accents, because the environment shapes that. That's a simple way to prove it. So now that we understand and know that our environment is mostly negative, and maybe it's not, and if it's not negative and it's mostly the opposite, then you can continue to do what you're doing and you most likely are achieving great results in life. But if our environment is the opposite, just look at how we perceive, or how the environment is picked up through our five senses. Or we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. Ask yourself this question: what am I seeing? Number one, what are you seeing on a daily basis? Is it the television? Are you seeing the internet, the world star hip hop? Are you watching some videos of people getting knocked out, or just some treacherous things that's happening on the internet throughout the world? Then what am I hearing? Are you listening to the radio, and then the songs and the music that you listen to on the radio? What is it talking about? Is it something that's going to be conducive to you achieving your goals and dreams, or is it going to do the opposite? What are you hearing? What are you hearing from your friends and family? What are you hearing from your associates? Is it encouraging advice? Or is it the opposite? Is it some drama about who did this and who did what that's really not affecting your life? What are you touching? What are you experiencing? Do you want a nice car or a nice house? Are you going to visit nice homes? Are you going to visit nice cars and get in nice cars and feel it and touch it and get the experience of the nice car. Going to a dealership. That stuff is powerful because it affects your thinking. It keeps you motivated. I remember a young lady and myself. She was living in the projects at the time, and we were young. And we would go to these nice neighborhoods and walk through the nice houses. We would see a house, I don't know, it was probably illegal, so I'm not suggesting anybody do this, but we would go into a new development out in the suburbs, and they had these big old homes that was partially constructed, but it wasn't fully constructed, and we would go in it and walk through the nice homes and see them and feel them and touch them and experience them and tell ourselves this is where we're going to live and this is what we're going to do, right? When we were young, and that young lady has experienced a lot of success throughout life. And I'm not saying that's solely the reason, but that's one of the reasons. What are you touching? What are you tasting? Like when we say tasting, let's think about what are we putting in our bodies on a daily basis. Is the food that you're consuming going to help you have more energy? Is it going to be conducive to your health? What are you doing in that perspective? So those are some things that you can ask yourself. And one of the key things one of the most important things is, what are you imagining? What are you dreaming about? What are you thinking about? That right there is your environment. If you're not in an environment that you currently want to be in right now, you can create your environment through your imagination. What are you imagining on a daily basis? It's a good practice to take at least 5 minutes a day and imagine what you want your life to be. Imagine an environment that you want. That's powerful. You can sit back, take 5 minutes out of the day, close your eyes and literally paint the picture of what you want your life to be. What are you imagining? Pick a person that you want to be most like and do exactly as they would do. You can ask yourself, what would this person do? What is this person thinking? And you can act and think like that person that you admire, that person that's where you want to be. What are you imagining? Whatever you want your life to be, you want to imagine that out and paint a picture in your mind. Make it as crystal clear as you can possibly make it. And then do that exercise every day where you just think about what you want your life to be like. What type of house do you want? What type of car do you want? What type of freedom that you want? Where do you want to work? Who do you want to work with? What type of relationship do you want? What kind of health do you want? Imagine that and use affirmations to affirm what you want in your life. An affirmation is simply affirming what you want to be in the form of words. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have this lovely car that I desire. Whatever that car is, you want to imagine it. That's one of the most important things. If you're not in the environment that you want it to be in, imagine the environment. And if you do that long enough and hold that with your will, then guess what? That environment will become real as long as you're taking the steps. You can imagine that environment and then ask yourself all these questions. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I touching and experiencing? What am I tasting? What am I putting in my body? Ask yourself these questions. I would say, what am I smelling too? I remember we went to Los Angeles and I was straight from the hood, coming out of the hood. And the hood has a certain vibration. It also has a certain smell. And I remember we went to Beverly Hills actually. And we were staying in a nice hotel. A buddy of mine, we flew out to California and he was going to some party that he had been invited to, and he invited me to come along with him. And the hotel we were at, it just smelled like flowers. I mean, the smell was so pleasant. It affected my mood. I said, man, I would like to live like this just from the smell, just from the 5 senses. So everything, all of our 5 senses is affected by the environment. And that environment affects our thoughts and feelings. And that thoughts and feelings affects our actions. And our actions dictates our results. And our results is going to dictate what we have in life or what we don't have in life. But if you're imagining things that you want your life to go like, then guess what? There is no limits to what you can accomplish. There's no limits, literally no limits. It's powerful. But just get that imagination key and understand those steps. And with that, I'll see you on the next episode. I hope that you enjoyed this video. We put a lot of great information up, which causes everything in your life to get better. If you would like for us to notify you whenever we put up a new video, hit subscribe then turn on notifications. Check out all of our videos, and we will notify you when we put another one up.